Euro 2024 is finally here. Over the next week, we'll be building up to the tournament in Germany with a preview from each group. Now it's time for the favourites France and Group D. Alright, let's get into Group D then. Quite an exciting group. Some giants in it in the form of France and Netherlands. Still a big club in Austria, and obviously Poland are there as well. No disrespect to Poland, but they don't seem to be the most competitive at the moment. Let's start then by having a look at Austria. Now, I really like this group for one massive reason. It's because of the managers on display. We've got obviously Didier Deschamps at France, Ronald Koeman, the obvious ones at Netherlands, but Ralf Rangnick is at Austria. Quite a strange appointment. Obviously, he's a great manager, but why is he still here? Why didn't he just hang up the boots?
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing, but to be honest, you have to give credit. Why would he leave? But while things are going so right, Austria have looked absolutely brilliant in build up to the tournament across the last year, across 2023, coming into 2024. They're carrying that same form, and I mean, maybe Rangnick could pull off a masterclass here in the Euros.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't lost since November 2022.
It's incredible.
So that's an incredible run of games. They've only lost one game in qualifying, so they've been on a really good run of form. Ralf Rangnick's got them playing some really good football, and I think they come into this Euros with a bit of confidence, actually. They've got a decent side. Now, obviously, they have got a huge miss without David Alaba, and it'll be the first time that Austria haven't had David Alaba for about 10 years now. So that's going to be a big adjustment. But I think they've got enough quality in the squad now. Alaba was only going to play as a left-back anyway, that they can make up for that, which in itself shows a lot of progress, because Alaba would often have to play in middle midfield to make the team look decent. But they moved him back to his traditional role at left-back because they've got so much quality. Now, one element of that quality, the key player, Marcel Sabitzer. He's been used as a left wing in a 4-2-3-1 type shape, which isn't his traditional position, but because he can drive inside and allow Alaba to overlap, or at this tournament it will be Mwene, because he can do that, he comes inside and he's in that area where he is dangerous. He's really good in the pocket, and it's something we've not really seen him do at many clubs, because he was great at RB Leipzig, but they played really narrow. So everything was in the pockets, really. Everything was in the middle of the pitch. They didn't go out wide. But so he obviously there he played middle midfield. At Bayern Munich, he barely played anyway. When he did, he wasn't really used in many attacking areas. And for Manchester United, I really don't know what happened there. So much like everything at Man United, no idea what's happening there. But he's done really well this season at Dortmund in more attacking type roles. And at Austria, he's played really well there.
Yeah, 100%. And as you say, he had a bit of a weird cameo in the Premier League, but overall, he's a very, very good player, and if he's a player that can cause teams problems, and as you say, in forward areas, he can be quite dangerous as well. But overall, Austria, it's a good quality side. They're very disciplined, high on their, one of those teams that loves, that whole team spirit and positivity, and they'll be hoping they can try and, put their weight about here in this group.
Yeah, it's worth noting as well, 4 goals in qualifying for Marcel Sabitzer, which is more than Robert Lewandowski managed to muster up. So really good stuff from him. Let's have a look at the tactic then, of course. So 4-2-3-1. Now, the other thing is whether Arnautovic is going to play or not. I've not lined him up in here. So we've got Schlager in goal, a back four of Mwene, Werber, Leinhardt and Stefan Posch. He's had a really good season at Bologna, who've done excellently in the Serie A. A pivot then of Nicolas Seewald, who is at RB Salzburg, moving to RB Leipzig this summer, alongside Schlager, and then Sabitzer, Baumgartner, and Konrad Laimer, who's also been used unorthodoxly as a right winger. And then leading the line, Gregoritsch. Now that could be Arnautovic, but what I immediately notice is this feels like a Bundesliga combined 11.
Yeah.
Like, Werber, Leinhardt, Posch used to play in the Bundesliga, obviously now he's in Serie A. Schlager, Seewald next season, Baumgartner, Sabitzer, Gregoritsch, Laimer, they all play in the Bundesliga. So it's fascinating to see how many are there. But does that help? Because they will all know each other. Is that helping there being a little bit of synchronisation, a little bit of squad harmony there?
100%, yeah. They'll know each other quite well from playing against each other or playing with each other. And that can make a difference sometimes. Sometimes international teams can be very disjointed and not link up very well, but when you know each other on such a scale that this Austrian side do, sometimes the football can be better and it can flow a bit better. So that could definitely help them in some games this season. But overall, it's a decent 11. It's not brilliant, but it could cause some problems for some teams.
Yeah, especially considering about half this team have come through the Red Bull Academy, because they hoover up everything in Austria, and then they all go to Leipzig. So they've all played together at some point. Werber, now Seewald, who wouldn't have played with any others, but he's got that same experience, and therefore they're all used to the same type of football. We know that Red Bull, quite ironically, don't use their wings. They have a very narrow system. So obviously, if you replicate that with the national side, and I mean, the fact they've got Sabitzer and Laimer, who are traditional defensive midfielder and central midfielder playing as your winger shows it is quite a narrow system. And so it'll be very interesting to see how that can have an impact. And I'll be honest, I think they could get out of this group. I think they could nick a point off one of the top two sides, and they should have the beating of Poland. So I think, and given the experience of Ralf Rangnick, I think they've got a really good chance of giving the Euros a really good go.
100%.
Let's go on to France then, who are probably the favourites to win the whole thing. I think a lot of bookies would put them or England top. Obviously, 2 times winners of the Euros, but haven't won one now since 2000. They were finalists in the 2016 edition. They were woeful in the 2020 edition, but they are a very good side, France. Probably best perpetuated by Didier Deschamps' record, because he's been there since 2012 and they've had just unprecedented levels of success. They were finalists in 2016 in the Euros. They won the 2018 World Cup. 2020 round 16, but they still got to the knockouts at least. That was a disappointing loss to Switzerland on penalties. In 2022, obviously they were World Cup finalists last time up. What's come for them this tournament? Could they go all the way again?
I mean, potentially so. They're a ridiculous side. They rock out every tournament. At the moment, they smash teams left, right, and centre. They're just incredible. They've got quality everywhere you look. Deschamps is a phenomenal manager. I mean, talk about, and him being here for I think it's probably the longest reigning manager we've got at the European Championships, being here 12 years now. And
yeah, I think he might be the longest serving international boss in general.
Probably,
Not many people survive even 2 World Cup turns, because that would be around obviously 4 years, but if you're there beforehand, then 6 years-ish. So if you get through 2 World Cup cycles, you've done very, very well. He's just signed an extension to be there for the 2026 World Cup, which will be his 4th World Cup. Ridiculous. So that's an absolutely incredible record, and that longevity has helped France because they've had so much talent coming through, and considering you've got continuity in the management, it means that the tactics are often the same, and it means it's easier to bed new players in, and that's obviously working out really well. Let's talk key player, because I don't know if you've heard of this guy. He's Kylian Mbappe, I think is how you pronounce his name. You might have heard of him. He's moving on a free to someone this season, but he got 9 goals in qualifying, which is quite a surprise. But he's absolutely ridiculous, Mbappe. He made the difference in the World Cup, really. They would have lost that World Cup final 3-0 if it wasn't for the fact he then completely turned the game on its head. I think we all are well aware now of the quality of Mbappe. But is he what makes France the favourites? Because I think without him in the team, I don't think everyone would be pining for them as much as they are.
Yeah, 100%. To have a player that has the ability to score a hat-trick in an international tournament final is absolutely crazy. And he will shine at this European Championships. He is a phenomenal player. And when France needs him, he will turn up most. If they are struggling in the game, if they're drawing, if they're losing in the quarterfinals, Kylian Mbappe could just turn up, score a hat-trick, and France will be on their way. That is the kind of ability that he possesses. And to have a player of that quality in your team is what puts you ahead of the rest.
And also, for Deschamps to recognise that and to build the system to suit him, to put in players who will suit what he wants to do, makes so much sense. Because in international football, it doesn't come down to these lovely tactical displays. Yeah. It can come down to those individual moments of quality and that team spirit type thing. So France, notice Deschamps before Mbappe did very little in the tournaments. As soon as you get to 2016 and this random child from Monaco shows up, suddenly they're the best team in the world. It's because they built around him. They know how to get the best out of Kylian Mbappe. And, Carlo Ancelotti, take notes. Do exactly what France do and round to win everything. But I think that's going to be really interesting to see. So let's have a look at what they do then. A 4-3-3 for France. It's a ridiculous squad. Everywhere you look, it's stacked with talent. In goal, Mike Maignan, there are some doubts there over his fitness. Obviously, he missed the last few weeks of the season, and we expect Areola might play the first few games because they've also got Bryce Sambrow injured, so they've got a few problems in goal. But I put Maignan in there because this is how they would want to line up if possible, if he is fit. So I've included him. In the back four, it's Theo Hernandez, Konate, Saliba, and Jonathan Klaus. Now, Klaus looks out of his depth in there, but he's not. He's a really, really strong player, and we've seen that for France, how crucial he can be. It's such a strong defence. Konate and Saliba mean both your fullbacks can go flying on because you've got really strong defenders, and they're also helped out by the fact that your defensive midfielder is Aurelien Tchouaméni or Eduardo Camavinga. They're both playing in that midfield three alongside Adrien Rabiot. It's incredibly well balanced.
I think Tchouaméni's injured as well, isn't he, for the openers? But
he might be involved later in the tournament.
But that is a ridiculous.
They're not weak though if they don't have Mainan and Xiaomeni,
I think they'll cope, yeah.
Yeah, should be interesting. Maybe they'll flop hard. But then front three, Mbappe, Griezmann and Kingsley Coman. Now, that's an incredible front three. What we could see is Griezmann used in attacking midfield is, if as you say, if Xiaomeni's out injured, they could play a Camavinga, Rabiot pivot, move Griezmann a little deeper and bring in someone like Olivier Giroud or Marcus Thuram, both players who have played that central striker role for France. But I think this team is incredibly well set up. Obviously, it'll all be focused on Kylian Mbappe. And I mean, if he can score 9 goals again, like he did in qualifying, they should be a shoo-in in theory. But yeah, unbeaten in qualifiers. Well, I don't think we mentioned that. Didn't need to. France are ridiculous. They're the favourites for a reason. They should be well.
Yeah, I mean, I think their main concern is the fact that obviously they are like Mainan, Xiaomeni will only join them halfway through the tournament. Coman will only make it if they go deep because he's not fit till early July. That is the main concern. But as you say, they're so strong. They've got incredible depth. They'll just find 3 other really good players just to put in there and win the tournament with. They can just put whoever they want in the team and it works. They're a very, very good side. Probably the favourites, maybe up there with England, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we got a France-England final.
Yeah, neither. Let's head on over then to the Netherlands then, because I think this is quite an interesting one. Quite a good record in qualifying. They won 6 games, only lost 2. They were both to France. And that is something interesting as well, the fact that they were in qualifiers against France and they're drawn against France. The fact they lost both games to them, does that mean they'll have more... They could surprise France here because they've played them already and lost those matches.
It either means they're going to lose again, or they, as you say, they could try and try something different, and it'll catch them out. But I mean, it's always an interesting one, isn't it? Because it's hard to tell whether the results in qualification will transfer to the actual tournament. But in this case, yeah, as you say, Netherlands could magic something up realistically to try and top the group, because we think it'll probably be those two gunning for that first position. They might be able to change setting up, beat them over 90 minutes and get ahead of them. Yeah,
obviously, let's talk management. Ronald Koeman, it's his first tournament in charge for the 3rd time, I think. So he's used, he knows what it takes to be a manager of the Dutch national side. Obviously joined in January of last year. He's had the helm since then. They've played really well in that time. As a former player himself, who I believe was in the side who won Netherlands' last major international tournament, so in 1988. So he knows what it takes to win international tournaments, both as a player and as a manager. I think this is probably Netherlands' best chance since then of an international tournament. I feel they'll be gutted they've not won more, because obviously they've never won the World Cup. Despite all their quality throughout the years, they've only won 1 Euros. I think this year they'll be looking at it as a really good opportunity to win something. Yeah. They've got a good manager in Koeman. They've got a decent squad. I think they will be slightly concerned that they're reaching towards the end of their golden generation type cycle. Players like Davy Klaassen and Virgil van Dijk will be moving on soon, but retiring soon. But I think that they should still have 1 more World Cup, 1 more Euros with a lot of those key players. So they've got time, and they've got a lot of young players coming through.
Yeah, 100%. And I look at this Netherlands side, and it's very similar to the French. It is it's quality everywhere you look, and defensively, I think that is. I mean, it's one of the best defences at the tournament, and across the pitch and attacking areas, they've got goal threat. And this is obviously, that's where we talk about the Mbappe effect. Mbappe is the difference between France and Netherlands, but take nothing away from this Netherlands squad. They're very, very strong, and they can give this tournament a very, very good go, as you say.
Yeah, definitely. I want to pick out a key player who perhaps a lot of people wouldn't be suggesting. I'm going to go for Xavi Simons. Now, the reason is I think there was something missing in that Netherlands side. I know it wasn't Wout Weghorst because he was there and he scored big goals. I think it was Xavi Simons. He got 7 minutes in the World Cup at 2022. But for me, he's a player. He was very young then, so it's understandable. And he'd only played for PSV.
Yeah.
So it's understandable. But I think he's a player who can make a real difference. I think he can come in to this tournament as a starter. He at any moment in the game can change it. He's that type of player. He's got that quality where he can pick up the ball and make a real impact. So having that difference maker in there that can just take the game by the scruff of the neck and get you points is so crucial for the group stage, and then getting a better seeding for the knockouts, and obviously so crucial for the knockouts, because if you can win the game with one player having 1 kick, then that's huge. So I think he can make a real big difference. Obviously, he is the biggest difference between the two sides, the World Cup 22 side and the team that lines up here. Let's have a look then at the side that's going to line up at this tournament. A 4-3-3 in goal. They've got a bit of a debate between goalkeepers that I don't rate too highly. Bart Verbruggen,
No.
Mark Flecken,
And Bilo.
and Justin Bilo as well. So there are options there. I think Verbruggen will likely start. He's played the
Yeah.
most of the qualifiers, so I think he'll likely start. In the back four, we expect to be Ake at left back because that then accommodates for either Denzel Dumfries or Jeremy Frimpong at right back, both who will be on the right wing for most of the game.
Yeah.
And then Van Dijk and De Ligt will probably line up as the centre-back partnership, but they could also use Geertruida. They've used him a lot as that right centre-half, because in a situational back three, when your right back's gone flying up the line, having someone who's traditionally a right back
Yeah.
can help in that role. But I think it will probably be Matthias De Ligt, because an Ake, Van Dijk, De Ligt rest defence, that allows everyone to go forwards.
Yeah.
In the midfield three, then, it's going to be Tiane, Reinders, Wijnaldum, and Weifer. Now, we're not exactly sure on the fitness of Frenkie de Jong. He might miss the last few weeks of the season with injury. He should be back for the group stage, but if not, it'll be that midfield three. If not, I would expect Reinders will come out and de Jong go in there. Mats Weifer, he's had a fantastic season at Feyenoord.
Yeah.
Absolutely flawless. So, yeah, they've got a really strong team. And then the front three of Gakpo, Donyell Marlon, and Xavi Simons. Now, Marlon could be exchanged for a Memphis Depay, could be exchanged for a Wout Weghorst if they want a bit of height in there. So, got loads of options. And obviously, Simons, we expect will drive inside to allow Dumfries or Frimpong to go down the line. Who that's going to be out of those two is the biggest headache I think you could have. The only other option I could see them doing is putting Frimpong on the right wing and moving Simons inside to midfield. But
I can't decide.
That's an impossible decision. Dumfries is slightly older and has been, so dependable, but Frimpong has such a strong season, it'd be difficult to decipher between the two. But I think experience will probably reign supreme. I think Denzel Dumfries will likely start right back. We might see, as I say, Frimpong in a slightly different role.
Yeah.
Let's have a look then at the final team in the group. Now, I like to try and be as optimistic as possible with these, but I do feel there is a lot of doubt around the quality in this Poland side. They didn't really do well in qualifying. They weren't great in a group where they really should have been better. I think they were alongside like Albania in there, and they qualified through. I think Hungary as well. Hungary a very good side, but Poland would expect to be second in that group. They weren't. They had to go through the qualifiers, and even then, they couldn't score in 90 minutes against Wales. They had to do it on penalties. It's not the most convincing way to get to a Euros. And then when you get drawn in a group where you've got a plucky Austria side with Ralf Rangnick, you've got a ridiculously strong France team, and you've got a strong Netherlands side, I think Poland will be doubting themselves going into this one.
As you say, they scraped through against Wales, who are equally not great.
Equally, they're even worse. So how did they scrape? How did they not win that?
They lack a lot of quality. They've got Lewandowski. They've got Matty Cash, who's not Polish, but
if they've not taken him,
if they not
did
taken
not see that the coach decided he doesn't want him, so that's a decision. But yeah,
okay, that's good. They're just not very strong. Simple as that.
They've got some decent players, and we'll talk through him in a moment. Let's talk manager Mikel Probières. He's not someone who holds much weight, I think, in England, but he is an experienced manager and someone who will play very defensive, very counter-attacking football, and they might be able to grind out some results somewhere, but it's going to be very difficult. I'm not sure on the quality in the squad to get those results over the line. Key player is obvious for this one, Robert Lewandowski. I don't think he was very good in qualifying, 3 goals, but that was their top scorer. So make of that what you will. They're going to rely on Lewandowski, but can you anymore? He's still a very, very good player, but he's not that Robert Lewandowski they had even 2 years ago, is he?
Yeah, no, it's a really tough one for Poland. The job is going to be, let's sit back, absorb a load of pressure, park the bus, and then what we'll do is kick it long to Lewandowski. Difference is Lewandowski has lost a yard, or at least half a yard of pace, so you can't just smash it long to, and he'll take on 2 people and score. He's not that kind of striker anymore. It's going to be Poland have to ride their luck at points in this tournament. They could get rolled over by France, and that's a big concern. Is that France and Netherlands could just blow them out of the water. But yeah, I think you have to give them credit for getting here, but they didn't get here on merit. They beat Wales.
They got on merit.
They didn't get through the.
They didn't qualify
Yeah.
through the qualifying phase. No, they had to go through the playoffs, which isn't a great sign for their chances of winning. Let's talk tactics, because I think 3-5-2 is going to be set up well defensively. They are going to be very deep. In goal, they got Wojciech Szczesny. Now, I think that does make a big difference. Having a goalkeeper you can rely on, having a goalkeeper who is dependable, does make a big difference. A back three of Jakub Kiwior. He's been playing at Arsenal. He's a very good player. Dawid Doiks. He's not someone I'm very familiar with. And Jan Bednarek in that back three. So there is a bit of Premier League experience there. Across the five, we Nikola Zaluski, Piotrowski, Szymanski, Zielinski, and Frakowski to complete the midfield of Ski. And obviously, there's some good players in there. Piotr Zielinski, former Napoli player. You've got in there Szymanski, who I think plays in Ligue 1. Zaluski, who plays for Roma. He's been very good. And Frankowski, who's at Lens, I think. And then the front two, Lewandowski, obviously, Barcelona striker, is going to be relying on. And we think Arkadiusz Milik will play this tournament. So there is some quality in there. It does feel limited, though, in this group.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Get through the group stage, and then they can all go for a ski holiday.
Yeah, that's a little pun there. But if we're talking realistically, I think Poland will bottom the group. I think Austria could get something from this. I think they'll probably beat Poland. That's 3 points. If they can nick a draw against Netherlands or France, they could find themselves fourth, going through on the third place playoffs, or they could be second if they can draw with, if say Netherlands lose to France and then Austria draw with Netherlands. Suddenly they could be level there. So it's going to be interesting. I think France will likely top it, whether that's on 7, 9 or 6 points. I'm not sure, but it'll probably be the full 9 if they're qualifying phases, so anything to go off. And I have to say, I'm very fearful France might just storm this tournament.
They could. They really, really could.
But then everyone thought they would do that in 2020, so you never know.
Exactly.
You never know what's going to happen. They might get drawn against Switzerland in the round 16 and lose on penalties again. You never know. But yeah, I'm very excited for the Euros. We are only a few days away now from it starting. Very exciting times. But yeah, that is our Group D preview. If you want to go check out yesterday's, we spoke Group C. Obviously, that is England's group. So for anyone watching from England, which is the majority of our fan base, then you can go over and watch that one. Obviously, we've done B and A as well. Group E coming up tomorrow, so look out for that. Group F the day after. And then, of course, we will have the day before the Euros, our tournament predictions. Very excited for it all. But that's everything from us today. Thank you guys very, very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.